Hi, we're here with Praveen, who's a data protection architect, and he's going to talk about NetBackup for IBM DB2 best practices. Right, Praveen?
Thanks, Jason. So I'm going to quickly cover the components that are involved with protecting DB2 with NetBackup. So as you know from a NetBackup terminology, you have a NetBackup master server, then you have a media server, and then you have a DB2 server where you're trying to protect your DB2 database. With NetBackup for DB2, we primarily support two different mechanisms. The first one is a traditional stream-based backup, which is by default we generally use BP-DB2 commands, which is provided by DB2 to talk to their API and move the data directly from DB2 into NetBackup. That's the stream-based backup. And the second option you have is a file-based backup. With file-based backup, what we do is we leverage a proxy call, proxy protocol that's provided by DB2. It's called DB2 proxy, and use the DB2 proxy to integrate with our snapshot client, which is also a functionality of NetBackup, core functionality that we provide to manage all different snapshot technologies. So what we do with the DB2 proxy is with the file-based backup, which is the second option, we allow DB2 proxy to enumerate the database and make a command call to quiesce the database, and at that time it passes on the information back to NetBackup snapshot client to create the snapshot. Once the snapshot is created, we mount the snapshot either back onto the same server, depending upon how you define within your policy, whether it's an off-host backup or on-host backup. If it's off-host, we take that snapshot to wherever, as long as the storage is on the SAN, we move that snapshot. In this case, for example, we would move from a DB2 server to the media server, mount it there and back up directly to either to disk or tape, whatever the storage destination is. That's typically the second option. With the first option, we support both full backups as well as incremental backups, which is typically what DB2 would allow you to do. With a proxy-based backup, it always has to be a full backup. The advantage you have with the proxy-based backup and also the snapshot client backup is, from a recovery standpoint, we can actually leverage the snapshot as long as the snapshot is there. So the DB2 admin doesn't need to know about it, or DB2 DBA doesn't need to know about it, or backup admin doesn't need to know about it. And the backup is transparently would leverage a snapshot to do a quick rollback, allowing you to do instant recoveries. So that's a big advantage, and also the capability to get the fast backup as well as fast recovery standpoint.
So that's great information, Praveen. Can you talk a little bit, I'm sure you gave us a great overview, can you talk a little bit about some of the best practices for dedupe rates?
From a dedupe standpoint, I think if you go with the file-based backup, that's probably the best option, because we treat the backup as a file-based backup, so we can segment and also check some on the data sets and actually handle the data much faster, a much efficient way from a dedupe rate standpoint, as well as from a backup standpoint. One of the components, few of the components you need to keep in mind for dedupe rates is with the DB2 9.5 and FixPack 8, DB2 started supporting a parameter called dedupe_device. So within your DB2 command, if you use the dedupe_device, automatically DB2 knows that you're trying to back up data to a dedupe device. So you get the best dedupe rates, as well as you also get good backup performance. And also to make sure you don't do compression as well. That's one of the things you need to keep in mind as you do the DB2 backups.
So that's great information about some of the deduplication. Lastly, what are some of the tuning parameters for DB2?
That's a good question. So typically I get a lot of questions about the tuning side of it from all the database protection. With the DB2 specific, within the DB2 actual command itself, we have few parameters. One is the parallelism, which allows you to create read multiple tables at the same time to send the data into a single stream. So parallelism allows us to read more data, more table spaces into a single job. And then sessions allows you to create more jobs. So you have sessions, parallelism, and then you have buffers, which allows you to allocate more buffers from the data movement standpoint. And then there's a final one called buffer size. Some of these parameters are already auto-tuned within DB2 9.7 and above, but parallelism and sessions you want to keep in mind to increase your performance from both the backup standpoint as well as a restore standpoint. Because sessions allow you to send more jobs, and parallelism allows you to send more files into a single job.
So that's great information. You really did encapsulate all the NetBackup for DB2 best practices. Great information, Praveen. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.